We're all familiar with that expression of Lashana Tova, and sometimes we abbreviate it and say Shana Tova, which means a good year. But the full expression is Lashana Tova Tikatev V'techatem, which means may you be inscribed and sealed for a good year. Anytime you and I, these past days and the days ahead, might say the phrase Lashana Tova, what we're really saying to all of our family members and all of our friends is our sincere desire to have something as permanent as a sealed, positive experience for you. That's our utmost prayer during these very challenging times. We want a sealed, promised future for each and every one of us and all of our loved ones. In a moment, we'll begin our service, and Yehuda is going to be joining in, and then Dr. Howard Horowitz, our holiday cantor, will be joining in. And when Dr. Howard comes in, his wife, Karen, and I think their daughters will also be joining in, will be lighting candles with us. And so you are invited to light candles in just a moment when Howard joins in. But for now, we're waiting in just a moment. Is Yehuda joining in yet? Is Yehuda on? I can't quite tell because the screen is too far from my eyes.
Yehuda should do his thing.
So if Yehuda's here, Yehuda, can you give us a signal in some way? Pardon me, folks, for just a moment, and let's just...
I am here. I don't know why you can't see me.
Thank you. Yehuda's here, and Howard's here as well. And chalk it up to fantastic technical support we have here in Mobile, Alabama. So Yehuda, we're going to begin with some songs to just warm us up and get us in the mood. Do you want to tell us what we're singing tonight, Yehuda?
We're going to start with a nigun and move into Am Yisrael Chai, Hine Matov. He that told thee, O man, what is good and what the Lord requires of thee. And we're going to finish off with a slow version of Aseh Shalom. Ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da da da. Da 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 ya 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 da da da. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. 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 Or Avinu Hai, Or Avinu Hai, Or Avinu, Or Avinu, Or Avinu Hai, Or Avinu Hai, Or Avinu Hai, Or Avinu, Or Avinu, Or Avinu Hai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. 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 Or Avinu Hai, Or Avinu Hai, Or Avinu, Or Avinu, Or Avinu Hai. Or Avinu Hai, Or Avinu Hai, Or Avinu, Or Avinu, Or Rabbeinu Hai. Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael, Am Yisrael Chai. 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 O Rabbeinu Hai, O Rabbeinu Hai. O Rabbeinu, O Rabbeinu, O Rabbeinu Hai. O Rabbeinu Hai, O Rabbeinu Hai. O Rabbeinu, O Rabbeinu, O Rabbeinu Hai. Behold how good and how pleasant it is when brethren dwell together. Behold how good and how pleasant it is when brethren dwell together in unity, in unity. Yada-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. In unity, in unity. Yada-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei matov, hinei matov. Yada da 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 da. Hinei matov, hinei matov. Yada da 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 da. Behold how good and how pleasant it is when brethren dwell together. Behold how good and how pleasant it is when brethren dwell together in unity, in unity. Yada da 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 da. In unity, in unity. Yada da 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 da. Hinei matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hinei matov, hinei matov. Yada da 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 da. Hinei matov, hinei matov. Yada da 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 da. He hath told thee, O man, what is good and what the Lord requires of thee. He hath told thee, O man, what is good and what the Lord requires of thee. But to do justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with thy God. He hath told thee, O man, what is good and what the Lord requires of thee. He hath told thee, O man, what is good and what the Lord requires of thee. But to do justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with thy God. Ose shalom bimrumav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imeru amen, imeru, amen. Ose shalom bimrumav, huyase shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Imeru, amen, imeru, amen. May the one who makes all peace make peace in our world, and may the one who grants all love grant us love to share. Oh, say shalom, shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ose shalom bimrumav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Imeru, amen, imeru, amen.
Shkoyach Yehuda. And in case some of us don't remember, Yehuda composed that melody of Oseh Shalom, of bringing peace into the world. And consider how powerful it is that one person can compose a melody and sing and reach out to many households. Each one of us has the capacity to bring a message of caring and of peace from his or her voice into the voice of others. And now we welcome Dr. Howard Horwitz from his home in Maryland. He is our high holiday cantor, and we're pleased that he's joining us again. And his wife, Karen, and I believe one or two daughters, Elise and Talia, will be here in just a moment to light the Rosh Hashanah candles, which are, the blessing is, Asher Kitshana B'mitzvot Havitzvana L'Halik Ner Shel Yom Tov. So if you've not yet kindled your Rosh Hashanah candles and you want to light along with us, please feel free to prepare and to stand at this moment. And I believe that the Horwitz family is online at this moment.
We are. Hello, Mobile.
We're
Okay.
delighted to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. I told you you're on a delay. Go for it.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel yom tov. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam,
Shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Thank you.
Into our homes in Mobile, courtesy of connections through the synagogue. Gosh, folks, that is definitely a Shachiana moment. But let's just consider the beauty of it. And while we are set apart and withdrawn in one way, our understanding of community is becoming radically altered, and conceptually, we're opening ourselves to an entirely new way of framing community and how individuals can influence and alter a community for the better. We rise the Borchu on page number 5. Chazan, I believe you're going to start with just a little la-la for Nusach and then begin.
Yes. La da da la da 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 la da 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 la la da 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 Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevarach.
Baruch Adonai Amavorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevarach Le'olam Evad.
And we're seated the first bracha on page number 5. The bracha recited every evening of the year, and we welcome Rosh Hashanah in the exact same way, reminding us of the beauty of the transition between day and night. Baruch atah Adonai, our God, ruler of time and space, whose word brings the evening dusk, whose wisdom opens the gates of dawn, whose understanding changes the day's division, whose will sets the succession of seasons and arranges the stars in their places in the sky, who creates day and night, who rolls light before darkness and darkness from light, who makes day pass into night, who distinguishes day from night. Adonai Tzvaot is your name, living and ever-present God. May you be with us forever and ever. Baruch atah Adonai, who brings each evening's dusk.
Umavir yom umehevi laila umavdil ben yom uven laila Adonai tzavot shemo el chai v'kayam Tamid yimlach aleinu le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Amariv Aravim.
Amen. On page 6, the top blessing, again in English prior to the Chatimah. You have loved your people, the house of Israel, with infinite love. You taught us Torah and mitzvot, statutes and laws. Therefore, Adonai, our God, as we lie down or rise up, we shall think of your laws and speak of them, rejoicing in your words of Torah and your mitzvot forever and ever. For they are our life and the fullness of our days, and on them we will meditate day and night. May you never withdraw your love from us. Baruch atah Adonai, who loves the people Israel.
Ki heimechayenu v'yorech yameinu uvahem nege yomam v'layla v'yahavadcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Ama Yisrael.
Shema and V'ahavta on page 6.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ולכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאותה ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבת על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך. והיה אם שמע תשמעו מצוותיי שלכם מצוותיי. Ayomar Adonai Moshe Lemor Daber al Bnei Yisrael V'mata V'hem Yasu Lahem Tzitzit al Kanfei V'dem Atav Tzitzit. Adonai Elohechem Emet.
On page 8 on the English side, first half prior to the Michamocha. God performs wonders beyond understanding, marvels beyond all reckoning. God places us among the living, not allowing our steps to falter, and leads us past the false altars of our enemies. God exalted us above all those who hated us, avenged us with miracles before Pharaoh, offered signs and wonders in the land of Egypt. God smote in anger all of Egypt's firstborn, brought Israel from its midst to lasting freedom, led them through the divided water of the sea of reeds. As their pursuing enemies drowned in the depths, God's children beheld the power of the divine. They praised and acknowledged God's name, willingly accepting God's rule. Then Moses, Miriam, and the people of Israel joyfully sang this song to you. Michamocha, page 8.
Mi chamocha v'olim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, nara tehilot, osef ele. Malchutcha rahuvanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe, ze'eli anu v'yamru, Adonai yimloch le'olam vahed. V'ne'emar kifad Adonai et Yaakov, ugalo miyad chazak mimenu, baruch ato Adonai, Gal Yisrael.
The top of page 9, Hashkivenu, and as I've said before, but it becomes more and more significant when we're entering Rosh Hashanah itself, Hashkiv is a command. And who are we to command God to do something? We're commanding God to help us, each one of us, simultaneously lay down in slumber this evening with a sense of peace and calm. And rarely have you and I experienced so many types of upset and frustration and fear and challenge. And so we all call out with reassurance that God understands when we say, God, we need it tonight. Hashki Veinu. Together, please, on the English, if you have the Machzor. Hashki Veinu, Adonai, our God, to sleep peacefully and to awaken again to life, our sovereign. Spread over us your canopy of peace, restore us with your good counsel, and save us for the sake of your name. Shield us, remove from us enemies and pestilence, sword, starvation, and sorrow, and remove the evil forces that surround us. Shelter us in the shadow of your wings, for you, God, watch over and deliver us, and you are the sovereign, merciful, and compassionate. Ensure our going and coming for life and peace now and forever. May you spread over us your canopy of peace. Baruch Adonai, who spreads the canopy of peace over all of us and over all the people of Israel, over Jerusalem and the world.
Ufaros aleinu sukat shalomecha, Baruch atah Adonai, Haporeh sukat shalom aleinu, V'yal kol amo Yisrael, V'yal Yerushalayim.
And if tonight were Friday night, we would sing the Vishamru, which is at the bottom of this next page. And many people are familiar with many different melodies of Vishamru, but it's not Friday night. But Vishamru on Friday night is actually a reminder of the importance of all of you, every single one of you, because each one of you comprises a sacred portion of the entirety of Israel. And that's what V'shamru means. V'shamru b'nei Israel, all of you take part in observing Shabbat. On the top of page 10, we have tiku, which comes from the word tekiah. It's a verb, and literally it means blast. Blast the tekiah, all of you together at this moment in time. It's traditional for those saying the prayer, the one-liner, to stand up in their seats, from their seats. By your presence of standing, whether you have the prayer book or not, you are making a blast of sound from your body itself. Erchazon continues tiku.
Tiku v'chodesh shofar b'kesel yom echagenu ki chok liYisrael hu mishpat le'elahei Yaakov.
Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitgadal v'yitgadash Shemei Ravaha v'yalma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael v'agalam yizman kariv yimeru amen. Yesh merabo mevarach le'olam le'olmei maya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitznasei v'yitadar v'yitadeh v'yitalal Shemei dekusha v'richu leheyehela mikol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran v'yalma v'yimeru amen.
We rise for the Amida welcoming Rosh Hashanah. It's a silent prayer, pages 11 through 17, a number of elements, and some will follow the traditional prayer, and some might offer a little passage and then devise their own meditation. But on page 12, there's an inclusion only from Rosh Hashanah until the end of Yom Kippur. Zochreinu l'chaim, and tomorrow a cantor will be singing that phrase. It's another command, commanding God to remember us. And think of what we have in common so far. Hashkivenu, an earlier command. Oh God, help us to lie down in a sense of peace as we prepare for slumber this evening. And Zochreinu, remember us for life. I'm not asking as an individual to hit the lottery. You're not asking for some miracle to take place in your life. We're asking for all of us simultaneously to be remembered, to be tended to. And that's what we need desperately, especially in these very challenging times. We begin in silence and then a few moments thereafter. in a moment the Kaddish Shalem, the full Kaddish, found on page number 19, and we'll remember that Kaddish Shalem originates in ancient Babylonia, which we now call Iran and Iraq. It's Aramaic, but at a certain point in time, Oseh Shalom, which is a Hebrew phrase, was appended to the end of the Kaddish Shalem, nearly reminiscent of the last line, Yehei Shalom Rabba, which is Aramaic, kind of to give it a Hebrew flavor or taste. Kaddish Shalem on page number 19.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rava, amen. V'yalma divrach yiruteh, v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon u'yomechon, u'v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, b'gala u'v'zman kari v'yimmeru, amen.
Amen.
Yesh merabam avarach le'olam l'almel maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'ale v'yitalal shemei dekudsha berichu le'yela mikol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata Damiran v'yalma v'yimmeru, amen.
Amen.
Titkabel seloton uva'uton d'chol Yisrael, kodam avuhan d'vishmaya v'yimmeru, amen.
Amen.
Yesh lama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimmeru, amen.
Amen.
Ose shalom bimromav Uyase shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'yimru amen. Yase shalom shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yase shalom Shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru. Amen.
A special prayer for the new year found on page number 23. The year is 5,782, 5782. Our Chazan begins the first line and a half in Hebrew, and then we shall offer the prayer in English on page 23.
Yehi ratzon milfanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'Elokei avoteinu v'imotenu שתחדש עלינו את השנה הזאת, שנת 5,702, ותהי זו שנה של שגשוג שקול לנו למשפחותינו ולקהילותינו.
God and God of our ancestors, that the year 5,782 be one of balanced and mindful growth for us as individuals, for our families, and our communities. May we return next year in good health and in appreciation of a year of greater peace, a year in which we deepened our lives through learning and the performance of mitzvot, a year in which we were conscious of the divine presence, a year in which we strengthened our shared commitment to Tikkun Olam, the betterment of the world. And I add, may it also be your will, O God, that each and every one of us be your emissary into the world, an emissary for all humanity, beginning with individuals, neighbors within our own local community and beyond, to help further a sense of understanding, calm, peace, and respect, shared respect. May this be the promise of the year 5782. And we all say, Amen.
Amen.
If you have a glass of wine, our cantor will be lifting up the glass of wine in just a moment to make Kiddush, and Kiddush will be found on page number 24. Reminder that the word Kiddush means to sanctify or to make holy, and Kiddush actually refers to the entire paragraph, not the Borei Piragafen line. Kiddush refers to the entire paragraph, and it's the act of sanctifying the day of Rosh Hashanah, which is described here in the entire paragraph. The glass of wine, frankly, is window dressing. But since we like to drink wine, we say Borei Piragafen as well. So now we begin on page 24, the Kiddush, and of course near the end of the Kiddush will also be the Shechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Borei peri hagafen Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher bachar banu mikol ha'am v'ramamanu mikol lashon v'kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'atiten lanu Adonai Eloheinu b'yahava et yom hazikaron hazeh yom teruah mikra kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta v'yotanu kiddashta mikol ha'amim U'devarcha emet v'kayam lad. Baruch atah Adonai. Melech al kol haaretz mekadesh Yisrael v'yom hazikaron.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shechianu v'kiyimanu והגיענו לזמן הזה.
May be seated. Shkoy Ariel. I hope that you had a chance to drink a glass of wine, perhaps with Kiddush or perhaps at your dinner table. You welcomed our shul, our synagogue, into your home. You've brought the entire congregation, the synagogue itself, and an atmosphere of all of us which normally are in the building into your home, around your dinner table, or perhaps in your family room or your den. Thank you for receiving the synagogue, for bringing us into your very personal and private space. You're building a bridge, a connection point between your personal space, your home, and our shared public space. Without you, without your attentiveness, without your desire to bring us into your home, without your focus, your mental set, you might say, your mindset, your heart, Ahavas Chesed and its connections with all of you and all of us would be vulnerable to Chas v'Shalom, God forbid, fading. And it's your desire to bring us into your home during these very weird and strange times that helps to maintain and build and further Ahavas Chesed. Your home, your link to our synagogue is essential to our synagogue and our community's continued flourishing and prospering. What defines the shul is that each of you, as an individual is contributing to the shul in many different ways. And right now, during the high holiday season, you are contributing to us by bringing us into your home, your willingness to open your minds and your thoughts, and to set aside other vocations and opportunities and business and work to build a shared sense of community. You have brought the shul into your daily life experience. And now, as I say thank you, I'm going to ask you one more time to continue to build the link between your home, your daily personal life, and our shul. And I'm asking you to think 2 weeks ahead into the future after Yom Kippur, and we'll still be online for Yom Kippur. But a few days after Yom Kippur, I'm asking you as an individual, or perhaps as a family, or as a pod, to come to the shul sukkah. On Sunday the 19th at 9 a.m., I'm looking for 4 more volunteers. We're going to be building a sukkah. And for the last week of September, from the 21st to the 27th, from the 21st until the 27th, we will have a sanctuary of God on our campus. A sanctuary of God that many of you have been in at various points of time in your lives, and you're familiar with this elaborate sanctuary of God constructed out of a few metal poles and some fabric sheeting. Yes, that is the sanctuary of God. And you know that it's not very sturdy, and it could come down in even a medium or a moderate thunderstorm. God's sanctuary is not nearly as ornate or beautiful or comfortable as our beautiful blue furnished sanctuary with these gorgeous gold doors and this lovely bema. God's sanctuary is defined by being outside, and you and I can feel the breeze on our cheeks and smell the aroma of the branches and the trees and the flowers adorning it. And we look up at the stars or the passing clouds, or hopefully it won't be too hot, and the sun. And that's God's sanctuary. We've been quarantined from the outside world, living in our air-conditioned homes for so long. We are insulating ourselves from the garden which was our original home. And these months, more than ever, as we have withdrawn, we have forgotten what it means to be living within God's sanctuary, the world that God made for us. God made us part of and within the garden. And the holiday of Sukkot is a way, by your and my sitting for just a few minutes in a sukkah, reasserting our connections between ourselves, our fellows, all of Israel, God, the physical world, the universe, and 3,300 years of history and tradition. We're limited to one family, one individual, or a pod, and there's going to be a schedule, and contact me any day of the week from the 21st to the 27th, and just pick a time slot for half an hour, 20 minutes. Come by with a sandwich, a cup of coffee, bring your lunch, your dinner. If it's a family, make a picnic out of it. Again, hopefully the weather will be good. It's uncomfortable to go into a place where the weather is not pleasant. And I'm hopeful that the weather will be good so that you and I can just take a few moments as individual participants in a shared journey to come back to where we belong, our shul campus. We're not going to be inside. We're going to be separated by time slots outside. But it's an opportunity for each and every one of you, members of the synagogue or perhaps friends joining online that we know of, to come back to God's sanctuary. Reacquaint yourselves by dwelling for 20 or 30 minutes, by having a picnic outside, by reminding yourselves that you and I and all of us once, thousands of years ago, walked with Moses and then Joshua into a future. The future was unknown, and we built these ramshackle huts that barely survived the elements, and yet somehow we made it from Egypt to the promised land, and we have flourished. And now 3,300 years later, we voluntarily say, it's time for me as a Jew to once again dwell beneath the clouds, the sun, the stars, the heavens. By your bringing yourself from your home into our shul sanctuaries, the sukkah, you share something that's very precious. You share yourself with all of Israel, with the holiday of Sukkot itself. Realize that you can make a lasting impression by leaving your air-conditioned home and coming to the sukkah during the week of Sukkot. P.S. Many of us have not been hugging each other for a long, long time. We might even see each other with a mask on, standing outside some feet apart, and we do this, or we wave, and some tap elbows, but we haven't had a hug. And I long to hug my shul people, but we want to make sure they're always safe and protecting each other. So we withdraw even from this most essential element of hugging. Guess what? We Jews were one of the first communities, perhaps the first community, to invent the idea of tree hugging. We hug trees. It's a poor substitute, but it's the best that I can come up with. This is the original Jewish tree. It's a lulav. You know, there are three different branches. The lulav from the palm tree, the willow, and the myrtle. And when I hold on to this, I feel that I'm hugging a Jewish grower, an Israeli farmer, or two, or perhaps even three different farmers and growers. And they've sent branches from their trees from Israel to America for us to hold for a week during the holiday of Sukkot. And so to the etrog. And of course, this is last year's lulav, and I don't have last year's etrog, obviously. But when you take hold of a lulav and etrog, and you say a blessing, and you wave the lulav, again, we are going back in time, perhaps even before the Shema was part of our spoken tradition. Taking hold of a tree is at the very core of our identity of leaving the wilderness, coming into a land and saying, this is my turf. And I invite you to order your own lulav. Lulav and etrog, it's $35. And that may be a difficulty for some, and if so, contact me privately and we'll make some arrangements. But think about it. Some of you have flowers, hopefully, on your table this evening to decorate your Rosh Hashanah home. I hope so, because it's Yontif. And how often do we buy a bouquet, and within a week or so, it's gone, and it's probably about the same as $35, and those bouquets are beautiful, but they're not hugging Israeli and Jewish trees and growers, and not linking you to the chain of 3,300 years of history, as a lulav does. So at the end of September, when many of us have said, I've had enough of Rosh Hashanah, I've had enough of synagogue services, Yom Kippur, I've been online, leave the virtual screens and come back to your God's sanctuary, where you and I can dwell for just a few minutes. Please contact me. Sign up for a time slot for a meal or a cup of coffee, the 21st through the 27th. And also, order a lulav, hug an Israeli tree, and feel a connection in these times when we are shaking, we need connections. I look forward to hearing from you. And I thank you for sharing something that's very precious. You yourselves, your interest, your attention, your focus with me. You've shared and given me koyach, strength. May you all be blessed with health, love, strength, optimism for the future, and may you know that you are deeply loved and cherished by many. Good Yontif and Lashana Tova. May you and your family be inscribed for a healthy and sweet new year. We rise the Aleinu on page number 25.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, la'teit gedula le'yotzeh bereshit, shelo asanu kagayei aratzot, ve'lo samanu k'mishpachot hodama, shelo sam chalkenu kahem, ve'gahor aleinu kechol hamonam, v'anachnu korim, ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויסד הארץ ומושב יקרה בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים הוא אלוהינו אין עוד אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום, והשבת אל לבבך. כי אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת עינות. על כן נקווה לך אדוננו לראות מזרזך להעביר לי. כך יאמר המועד כי המלכות שלך היא לעולמי עד תמלך בכבוד ככתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו echad.
In a moment, the mourner's Kaddish, found in the Machzor on page number 26. And perhaps you're saying Kaddish and you may not have a Machzor. I encourage you to daven along with us, and we'll go slowly. We have a list of names, members of our synagogue and loved ones. And we remember at this time Rosa Miller, Ida Grace Parkman, Miriam Tobin, Joseph Olinsky, Louise Goldrich, Nancy Howell, Bessie Friedlander, Kayla Leah Grodsky Yablonsky, Abe Sussman, Marilyn Schwartz, Tina D. Solomon, Joe Kramer, Holden Kramer, Roger Bloom, James Ward. And if you know someone who recently died or you wish to mention the name of a loved one, please do so at this time. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabah. Amen. Be'olma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute. B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chaye dechol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabo mivarach le'alam ololmei olmaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekudesha brichu la'ela u'la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran ba'olma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imeru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imeru. Amen. May the peace that comes forth by the fact that so many have joined in be felt by those who are in need of feeling that sense of peace. And may those who are saying Amen realize what a mark of caring they are displaying at this time. Shalom upon us all. We shall conclude in just a few moments, first on page 27, and then thereafter the Yigdal. On page 27, we have a psalm. It's in English nicknamed the Psalm for the Season of Repentance. In the Bible, it's called simply Psalm number 27. In Hebrew, it's the David, Adonai Ori V'ishi. By David, God is my light and my help. And an element within some of the psalm is that there are forces of darkness in the world arrayed against me. But especially the opening section of this stanza of the psalm puts forth a faith message that God is with us and God is a source of light to chase away the darkness. A psalm of David. Adonai is my light and my help. Whom shall I fear? Adonai is the stronghold of my life. Whom shall I dread? When evil people assail me to devour my flesh, it is they, my enemies, and those who besiege me, who stumble and fall. If an armed camp were to be arrayed against me, my heart would show no fear. Should they war against me, of this I would be sure. One thing I ask of Adonai, this I seek, to dwell in the house of God all the days of my life, to behold God's beauty and visit in God's sanctuary. Achat sha'alti.
Achat sha'alti me'et Adonai, oto avakesh. Achat sha'alti me'et Adonai, oto avakesh. Shivti beveit Adonai, kol yemei chayai, lachazot benoam Adonai, ulevaker beichalo, lachazot benoam Adonai, ulevaker beichalo.
And now in a moment, Yigdal on page 28. Just a couple of quick reminders that, of course, tomorrow is Tuesday and Wednesday. Services are from 10 to, we think about 12 or so, give or take. We're not exactly certain because we've constructed this new system. And what you may or may not realize, but I'm sure you do, is that rabbis and cantors have a little way of communicating from one to the other, from one shtender to the other. This is a shtender, this is a shtender. And Dr. Horowitz and I don't have that. So we're constantly adjusting, and we think we know about when the service will end. We're hoping that you have patience with us. And as you're seated comfortably in your homes, you can tune out distractions and experience what it means to establish your home as a prayer place, as a space of prayer and worship. So again, Tuesday and Wednesday mornings, 10 o'clock will begin our service, and it's going to be perhaps similar to last year's service, somewhat abbreviated. We will have Mr. Ben Meisler joining us for chauffeur. By the way, if you've now become a bit more familiar with YouTube, there is a way of signing in a chat message. Send a chat message. Say hello. We all know how important it is to greet each other when we're at High Holiday Synagogue services. So please send a message and we'll feel a bit more connected. I just learned that my mom sent a message so I can say, hi, Mom. And you might have family members and friends joining in from elsewhere to be part of your and our synagogue experience. Send a message to us or to whomever might be joining in. May you all be blessed with health and love and peace. And now, Cantor Yigdal.
La da 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 da. La da 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 da. Yigdal Elohim chai v'yishtabach nimtza v'yenet el metziuto echad v'yein yachid כייחודו נעלם וגם אין סוף לאחדותו. אין לו דמות הגוף יהן הגוף, לא נערוך אליו קדושתו. קדמון לכל דבר אשר נברא ראשון ואין ראשית לראשיתו. הינו אדון עולם וכל נוצר, יורה גדולתו ומלכותו. שפע נבואתו נתנה אל אנשי סגולתו ותפארתו. לא קם בישראל כמו שעוד נביא ומביט את אמונתו. תורת אמת נתן ליעמו על יד נביאו נאמן ביתו. לא יכל לפעל ולא ימיר דתו לעולמים לזולתו. צופה ויודע סתרנו, מביט לסוף דבר וקדמתו. גומל לאיש חסד כמפעלו, נותן לראש הרע כרשעתו. ישלח לקץ ימין משיחנו, לפדות מחיקי קץ ישועתו. מתים יחייל ברוב וחסדו, ברוך הדיין שם תהילתו. מתים יחייל ברוב חסדו, ברוך הדיין שם תהילתו.
And Cantor, perhaps you'll say Lashana Tova, and we'll conclude for right now.
Hey guys, come here. Yes, Lashana Tova to Mobile. Sorry we were, oh look who's here with me. All my gals. Yes, we're happy to be back. We were hoping to be in person, as the Rabbi and Shur mentioned many times, but this is a little more alive than last year. So one step at a time. Shana Tova to all.
Shana Tova.